Before we get today's video started in the latest Big 12 realignment update, let me know down in the comments who your favorite Big 12 team is. We've got a lot of new subscribers to the channel with Big 12 realignment going in full force. I want to hear from every fan base possible. So let me know down in the comments below who your favorite Big 12 school is. All right, let's jump into today's video where there is a lot to unpack from a Pete Thamel article of ESPN, who really kind of dropped a mini bombshell on the solo act of Arizona being that 14th team to the Big 12. We'll discuss that, and we'll also discuss the Pac-12 finally getting to see some media rights numbers and really what they look like, and they're not all that impressive if you believe in the rumors. But let's jump straight into this because this was really the biggest thing that dropped last night when it came to the Pac-12 and what maybe we can expect on a very busy Tuesday in terms of Pac-12 news, with there being Pac-12 meetings for all the teams, an Arizona Board of Regents meeting, and maybe now there is a group of schools wanting to get into the Big 12 together. That, according to Pete Thamel of ESPN. Arizona has been at the forefront, as we all know, for a potential move to the Big 12, and it has had the most extensive talks, according to Pete Thamel, and really that backs up a lot of what everyone has been saying already. But then there was this. He knows the gravity. Speaking of Robbins, the president of Arizona, said a person familiar with Robbins' thinking, he does not want to be the one to break apart the Pac-12. That's why sources say Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, the Pac-12's remaining three of the so-called quote-unquote four corner schools, are expected to lump their futures together. First and foremost, my first thought was, what? If this ends up being the case, I'll say this. I would be unequivocally shocked if the Big 12 doesn't take all three, right? I understand what Brett Yormark said in the sense that, hey, 14 is that sweet spot number for us, really because they don't want to have to go renegotiate right away when it comes to their media rights deal with Fox. But if you're telling me right now from the jump, the way that we can get Arizona and then Utah as well, who, by the way, Utah has been hesitant as all get out to join the Big 12 due to whether that's BYU joining the conference first, other reasons, whatever it may be, they have been hesitant, right? If you can add those two schools and then Arizona State follows, in my opinion, you do that. And maybe it takes a little bit longer than we expected because there's been a lot of people that have said that Arizona would join solo to be that 14th school. And maybe that's an option. Again, Arizona does have a Board of Regents meeting today, August 1st, out there in Tucson. I believe the meeting takes place at 3 or 4 Mountain Time, right? But when it comes down to it, if this is the case, as what Pete Thamel is saying, in strict regards to, hey, they are now a lump sum, right? Like you have to take all three because Robbins doesn't want that on his conscience that he was the one that ended the Pac-12. I guess he wants some ride-along buddies or whatnot. I don't understand it. But here's the thing. When it comes down to it, and again, Pete Thamel is the one reporting this from ESPN. If that's really what it comes down to, the Big 12 is going to do it, right? Like they'd be stupid not to, in my opinion. You take those schools, you add, and then you look at the landscape after everything is done, whether that's with the ACC, more Pac-12 schools, and we'll talk about Oregon and Washington here in a minute and their thoughts on joining the Big 12. But if you can get three of those schools, add the four corner schools because you already got Colorado, I think it's a no-brainer from the standpoint of you're adding the Pac-12 champion who has been really, really good for a long time in that conference in Utah, a basketball power in Arizona, and then if you have to add Arizona State as well, so be it, right? But you get the Arizona schools in this hypothetical situation, and then Utah, you got the Holy War. That'll be fun with BYU and Utah. But if this is truly the case that all three of them are lumped together and it's a package deal, in my opinion, you have to take it, right? And you just go renegotiate with Fox to make sure you can get everybody even money on 16, because with ESPN, you already have that deal. Now, with Fox, you'd have to go and change things up a little bit. I want to ask you this before we talk about Oregon and Washington, though. Let me know down in the comments. Will all three of the remaining four corner schools join the Big 12? Just let me know your opinion. Why for yes or in for no. Again, will all the remaining four corner schools, three of them, Utah, Arizona, Arizona State, will they join Colorado and have all the four corner schools join the Big 12? Just a simple Y for yes or in for no. As I mentioned, Thamel did have an update on Oregon as well. And really, I mean, it's really not all that surprising when it came down to it. They don't have much interest in the Big 12, right? And it really shouldn't be shocking on that front. It feels like right now that Oregon and Washington are pretty dead set on joining the Big 10 and kind of creating a division on the West Coast with USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. That's kind of what it looks like right now. But I think, again, when it comes down to it and push comes to shove, there's going to have to be some decision making, because when you look at what the Pac-12 is bringing forward, at least reportedly and rumored right now, at their meeting this morning, August 1st, 2023, when it comes down to media rights, it's going to be $20 million in basically all streaming with Apple. And Apple will have the chance to outsource some of the games to higher networks like ESPN, which will increase maybe that payout to maybe 22, 25 for some teams, right? Again, you're really behind the Big 12, who is going to get around 32 million per team, right? So you think about that, and 20 million strictly streaming, that's just not going to get the job done for a lot of these teams, specifically Oregon and Washington. So when they see these numbers, does their tone change a little bit in terms of, hey, we want to go to the Big 10, but we also understand, okay, maybe we can go to the Big 12 and maybe it's just for a 4 or 5 year period and then they bounce, right? That's a possibility, I think, that people aren't talking enough about. But I also think there is a possibility with Oregon and Washington. They just strictly stay in place. They become the powers of the new Pac-12. They ride it out for a couple of years and then bounce when they get their college football playoff pedigree up a little bit more. Not to say that they don't have some already, but a lot more now, because they're going to have the more opportunistic chance to make the playoff because, well, there's more teams that are going to make it with 12. So they're going to be right in line to make the playoff virtually every year. It's basically whoever wins between Oregon and Washington will make the college football playoff from the Pac-12, right? That's a golden opportunity to get more brand awareness and get seen throughout the country. And the Big 10 maybe will find them more appealing at that point. But I think what it all comes down to it is this. My final thoughts on the rumor mill are simple. I do think that there is a scenario that Arizona just outright leaves by itself still. Jason Scheer of Wildcat Authority has been on that, and he still thinks that's a possibility as well from everything that I've seen. So that's a possibility. But now with Pete Thamel coming in here with this rumor that the four corner schools, the remaining three in Utah, Arizona State, and Arizona, right, want to stick together potentially, I think there's something to be said for that, in the sense of, okay, maybe there's a new deal potentially for the Big 12 going forward and trying to find out if they can add them. And really what it comes down to for me is the media rights partners, right? And it would be Fox in this situation for the Big 12, because as I understand it, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, ESPN is 16, Fox is 14, and that's why 14 is the number for them. They're okay with going a little bit more, ESPN is, but Fox went to 14 in their media contract with the Big 12, and that's why your mark wants to go to 14 and then reevaluate from there. But when it's all said and done, the biggest thing right now is the Pac-12 will finally present some media rights deals to their universities, and also this kind of a bombshell from Pete Thamel of ESPN saying that the four corner schools want to stick together. It's going to be interesting. That's going to do it for today's Big 12 realignment update. Before we get out of here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to stay in the know on Big 12 realignment rumors and news all year long. And then also answer this question for me. Will all three remaining four corner schools join the Big 12? Y for yes, N for no. It truly is that simple. Let me know down in the comments below. I am RC Maxfield, reminding you, if you want the latest Big 12 realignment news and rumors all year long in one of the most engaging communities when it comes to Big 12 content on YouTube, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button to stay in the know right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.